The film opens at Kepler 822, a research facility managed by Tion Industries focused on exploring and drilling the ocean floor. Mechanical engineer Nora Price is going through her morning routine when the lights begin to flicker and a leak emerges from the ceiling. She exits the bathroom to investigate and is immediately hit by surging waves seeping through the walls, signaling a pressure breach. She rushes down the corridor, trying to alert the others to get to the bulkhead quickly, but only Rodrigo Nagenda follows her. Upon reaching the bulkhead, they attempt to seal the doors to prevent further damage to the station, but the computer fails to respond. Nora must manually override and force start it under extreme pressure and with limited time. Fortunately, she succeeds but hesitates before sealing the doors because two more crew members are approaching. Unfortunately, they cannot reach the bulkhead before the breach does, so she closes the doors to contain the damage, leaving the two men behind. The computer they are using then explodes, causing Nora and Rodrigo to briefly lose consciousness. When they come to, the emergency recording indicates the station is 70% compromised. Rodrigo suspects an earthquake, though strange noises are coming from outside. Nora attempts to call for help but fails, so she and Rodrigo set out to locate the escape pods. After checking their position and status in the CPU room, they find that the only route to the pods is through a hallway obstructed by debris. As they carefully navigate the rubble, they hear a voice calling for help and discover Paul Abel trapped under a pile of rocks. He joins them after retrieving his beloved plush bunny. The trio crawls through a tight passage and discovers the body of another crew member before finally reaching the pod bay, where Captain Lucien remains behind while others have already evacuated in the pods. As Nora works to unjam the door, Lucien sends Paul and Rodrigo to check the submersibles. When the door opens, Lucien brings Nora inside, inspects her for injuries, and then sends her to the control room when the men report the submersibles are not operational. In the control room, Nora encounters biologist Emily Haversham and engineer Liam Smith, who are in a relationship. As the other three join them, Emily warns that the station's energy has nowhere to go and could trigger a meltdown at any moment. With no means of contacting the surface, Lucien proposes moving to a different facility, Roebuck 641. This would require wearing pressurized suits and walking 2 miles without knowing what awaits them outside, a suggestion that the crew is hesitant to accept. Liam plays a recording of the last transmission from the drill site, which reveals sounds of an attack by the same mysterious noises Nora had heard earlier. The temperature outside has also risen by 10 degrees, an anomaly since water doesn't behave this way. Given their lack of options, they agree to proceed to Roebuck. The crew begins preparing their suits. Emily is apprehensive because she has never dived before, and nobody has walked outside for more than a few minutes to repair a pipe. Paul makes sure to bring his plush bunny, and Rodrigo inspects the remaining helmets before giving one to Nora. Concerned by the noises from the recording, Liam decides to bring a gun, and Paul follows suit. Once everyone is suited up, they board the elevator, and Liam warns them that the exterior hatch is badly damaged, so they should brace themselves for the pressure. Cracks start to appear on Rodrigo's helmet, which Nora notices and tries to warn Liam not to open the door. However, it's too late. The water rushes in, causing Rodrigo's helmet to implode and killing him. There's no time for mourning, they must move quickly, so they jump into a cargo lift. Nora feels guilty, suspecting Rodrigo knew his helmet was compromised and gave her the last good one deliberately, but Lucien advises her to adapt to the situation. As the lift descends, they receive a distress signal from one of the pods. Hoping to rescue other survivors, Lucien sends Paul and Liam to investigate. Paul gives Emily his bunny before leaving. The outside is dark and the platforms unstable, but they press on following Nora's directions. The strange noises are heard again, and they find the pod has imploded and is covered with an unfamiliar, algae-like substance. They also discover a body, so with no one to save, Lucien orders a return. However, Paul is distracted by a strange, liquefied shape on the back of the body, which suddenly moves and attacks him. Liam shoots the creature, and shortly afterward, they bring it inside. Emily examines it, noting its talons and feeding mouth, but finds no eyes. She is discussing the potential discovery of a new species when the elevator abruptly loses power and halts. The earlier noises are now audible from outside, and Paul realizes that the creature they have is a juvenile. He secures the door tightly. Nora manages to disengage the elevator, but they still remain stationary for some reason. Suddenly, an adult creature appears at the window just before Kepler 822 explodes. The elevator plummets uncontrollably, and the crew scrambles to re-don their helmets before hitting the seafloor. They barely escape in time. Once outside, they must move quickly to avoid falling debris. Liam is struck, but Lucien and Nora rescue him and help him reach a nearby station, where they discover his oxygen scrubber is damaged. Nora forces open a control panel to summon a mover, and they travel through an access tunnel while being pursued by creatures from outside. Unfortunately, they must stop the mover midway due to flooding in the tunnel, so they continue on foot, only to find more debris blocking their path. Given her smaller size, Nora volunteers to dive through the debris for an alternative escape route. She discovers a passage that, while tight, is still wide enough for everyone to pass through. Lucien secures each crew member with wires before sending them in. They all make it through without issues except for Paul, who reports seeing something behind him. When Paul fails to continue, the crew pulls on the wires to bring him along. They manage to get him through, but as he removes his helmet, his wire starts being yanked from the other side. Paul hands over his rabbit before redonning his helmet. Despite the crew's efforts to hold on, a creature grabs him, tearing him out of the suit and killing him. The crew flees before the creature can attack them and reaches a communications room, where Lucien unsuccessfully tries to call for help. Liam, observing the destroyed drill through the window, questions how it could have been demolished given its weight of 6,000 tons. Emily admits their fault for drilling too deep into the ocean floor, which led to this disaster. She concludes that no one should have been down there, and Nora agrees. Lucien notices the window is starting to crack and warns that they must leave the room. They worry about Liam's suit, which might not withstand much longer. Liam insists they should go without him, but the others refuse to abandon him and agree to help him move. The four of them head out across the ocean floor, and soon, a creature appears swimming around them. They switch off their suit lights, but it doesn't help. The creature reappears and captures Liam, dragging him to a cave. Seeing his foot still visible at the entrance, Lucien enters the cave and finds Liam alive, pulling him out. After leaving Liam with the others, Lucien returns to retrieve the gun but encounters the creature, which pulls him deeper into the cave and drags Nora with him due to the connected wires. Nora lands on a floating platform, while Lucien is tangled at the edge. She attempts to help him, but the creature approaches and moves in to bite her helmet. Lucien tackles the creature to push it away, but the creature drags them both as it descends further into the water. With the pressure becoming fatal, Lucien sacrifices himself by disconnecting his suit from Nora's, allowing her to float away before he implodes. Nora loses consciousness briefly, and when she wakes, her suit is failing. Startled by an octopus, she escapes and finds a door leading to the abandoned shepherd station. After mourning her captain and changing into dry clothes, she explores the station. Although her attempt to contact Emily fails, she discovers a map of the drilling site in Lucien's old locker. Determined to survive, Nora dons a different suit and grabs a flare gun before heading back to the ocean floor to reach Roebuck as planned. Following the markers, she begins to hear Emily's voice, hurrying towards her and inadvertently causing Emily to flee, thinking Nora is a creature. Nora tackles her and reassures her, praising her for surviving and taking care of Liam. They drag Liam across the floor, engaging in conversation to keep their minds off their worries. Nora shares her story about her fiancé, who was Liam's best friend and vanished during a solo diving mission, which contributes to her fear of feeling powerless. She admires Liam and Emily's relationship. Eventually, they reach the glowing Roebuck station. As they enter, they discover a nest of creatures hanging from the ceiling, appearing to be in a dormant state. Turning off their suit lights, the girls try to sneak through, but Emily's oxygen alarm starts blaring. One creature awakens and grabs Nora, who instructs Emily to take Liam and run to the door. As the creature begins to swallow Nora, she uses her flare gun to shoot from inside, freeing herself. With more creatures beginning to wake, Nora readies a second flare bullet but notices that the creatures are being lifted by a massive, growling entity. She fires the flare gun at a distance and discovers the approaching monster is the ancient Cthulhu. Overcome by shock, she starts to flee, but Cthulhu lands behind her, causing an explosion that knocks her out. Emily rescues her, dragging her inside the station. Nora is running out of oxygen, and her helmet is stuck, but Emily uses a fire extinguisher to crack it open, allowing Nora to breathe again. They help Liam out of his suit and navigate through various hallways until they reach the control room, where they can see Cthulhu and its creatures through a window. Nora consults the station map on the computer and guides her companions to the pod bay. The station is flooding slowly, and emergency doors are locking, but they manage to navigate through the waves. They find 3 pods, but only 2 are operational. Nora keeps this information to herself. They place Liam in the first pod and send him out with Paul's plush rabbit. When it's Emily's turn, she refuses to enter upon discovering Nora's omission. With time running out, Nora punches Emily and forces her into the pod, assuring her that everything will be alright before launching her. Having accepted her fate, Nora grows concerned when she sees the creatures targeting the pods. Desiring to make a final effort, she recalls Emily's comment about the stations having excess energy. Nora uses the computer to trigger an overload of Roebuck's nuclear core, causing a massive explosion that eliminates her, Cthulhu, and its creatures, allowing the pods to escape safely. The film concludes with news articles and reports stating that all information is classified and that survivors are forbidden from speaking. Surveillance footage has been destroyed, presumably due to the damage, and Tion Industries rejects government assistance for the investigation, intending to rebuild and continue drilling. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you don't miss any of our video updates.